Okay, it's time to put the rear wheel back on your bicycle and get back to riding. By the way, did you notice I was wearing flannel? I did that because everybody thinks it's really cool and that all bikers should wear it these days. I don't really get it, but I'm doing it. I could have a hat on too, but I skipped that this time. Okay, here we go. So this is where having your friend do something for you is very helpful, like holding your bike up for you. So let's get the bike back off the ground. If you got someone to support your bike so you can just concentrate on putting the wheel on, that's great. If not, you have to do it all yourself, which is totally doable. So I'm gonna pick up my bike. I'm not gonna touch the brakes because I don't want to close my disc calipers. I'm gonna make sure my chain is still on. I can tell right now my front chain ring is about to come off. So I'm on the front chain ring, the small one. Make sure that's still correct. And remember, you did what you always do, is you shifted to the smallest gear in the back. So you take your tire and remember that. So since you always shift to the smallest gear, you're going to line up your chain that's at the derailleur onto the smallest gear, which is the smallest, most outer gear. And then the complexity of a disc bike is that you have to get that rotor into the caliper. And then there's a little trick because the derailleur is under a little tension with a spring, so you got it in a cable, so you got to put a little pressure on it. But the advantage of having it always in the same position is everything is going to line up right. So I'm now going to move my derailleur a little bit, and I'm holding my bike myself, but this is a great opportunity for someone else to hold your bike. So I'm watching. I may have to move things around just a little bit. I'm watching the rotor go into the proper place in the caliper. It's obvious, I'm sorry I can't move the camera to show you. And then sometimes I have to move a frame a little bit out to get it to pop into its position. So I put my hands on each part of the drops on the back, and I just spread it a little bit to make sure that it all fits in. And that's on. Once again, I have a through axle. So I'm now putting my through axle through, and I'm tightening it up. So once again, people find that the placement of the rear wheel to be tricky. I remember one time seeing a guy with his son walk into a bike shop with a flat on his son's bicycle, and he told the shop mechanic that he knew how to change a tire on the front but didn't know what to do on the back. So we know that practicing the rear and getting good at taking on and off your rear wheel is a great skill to have because it's no big deal. So I've got it back on. I've tightened up my through axle. I'm gonna, in my case, I have a clutch, so I'm turning back on my clutch. Your bike will work fine even if you don't have the clutch back on. Having the clutch off makes it just easier to move that derailleur. When the clutch is off and you're riding, your chain may slap a little bit, but that's no big deal. And you know what? We're done. So clean up your mess. Make sure you haven't left anything behind. I usually, before I jump on the bike to pedal, I raise up the rear and I just take a few spins with it, make sure everything's working okay. And I usually go ahead and shift it to a easier gear. Boy, it sounds good, doesn't it? This is often the time you might discover that the chain is falling off somewhere, not on one of the little cogs, right, or not on the front chain ring. So you just go ahead and take care of that. Once again, it's nice if someone lifts the bike for you, but it is no big deal to lift your own bike. You pedal it, and then you shift and pedal. This is ready to go. I'm gonna set my bike here. So when I get home, if I'm good, but I'm usually not, because after a bike ride, it's time to have a beer and a veggie burger. But if you're good about your bike maintenance, you're going to let the air, the CO2 out of that tube, and you're going to pump it back up with air. The other thing is that if you really didn't find out what caused the flat, you might want to go through the whole process again. And then also quality improvement. So if it didn't go well, think about what didn't go well. Did you not have something with you? Is there a better tool for you? If you're not strong enough to do this, I'm going to say you are strong enough to do it. You just have to get your technique better, get smarter, and practice it. Strength makes up for a lot of things, but you can work around it. Be sure to reload your pack. I've been on many rides where someone pulls out their CO2 canister and it's spent. You can tell it's spent by, it'll have a hole in the little end. These kind of scare me, but they shouldn't. I'm going to take off the top right now, the chuck, and it's going to spew. There it goes. No big deal. And this needs to be disposed of so you don't accidentally take it. And it has just a little dot in the end, and that shows that it's spent. Be sure to restock your new tube. Oh, look at my hands. They're dirty. What a surprise. And usually I'll end up with dirt on my face, and my friends will look at me and tell me I have dirt on my face. So a monkey wipe is a good thing to have, although, you know, if you ain't got dirt on your face, then you didn't have a good ride. Okay, so I'll try to do a video where I put it all together.